Do you ever look at the photos that you have taken and wonder only if you can go back in time so that you can keep the exposure a bit better, or keep the details in the highlights and the shadow area, or only just to compose them a bit better? Well, spoiler alert, you cannot go back in time. But what you can do is give 10 minutes of your time to watch this video and learn how to make a photo look like from this into this. Before we go, a subscribe to the channel would be massive, and if this video helps you in any way, please like and share.
Okay, so here we are in the Lightroom, and first of all let me tell you that if you click a photo from your DSLR, try to click it as a RAW, in RAW format, because when you click a photo in RAW format, the photo size will be big, and as well as all the highlights and shadows and all the color information will be stored in RAW format. But if you click the photo in JPEG or any other format apart from RAW, then it will not give you the flexibility that you would want when you want to post process your photo. So let me give you a small example. So I'll be choosing 3 photos from here. Let me import them. Okay, so now we have already imported 3 of the photos, and let me show you in the developer module. Now first of all, what you want to do is just check out the basic panel, and that will be this panel here. And if you can see like the temperature or tint, exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks, these 6 or 7 parameters are same in any of the photo editing software you use. Names are same in any of the software, and as well as they do almost the same work. And first of all, what you want to do is go to crop and just select this angle here, and then you shift left click to one of the horizon, then drag it down and drop where the horizon ends. By this method, it will straighten out the picture, straight the horizon over here. So now your picture is straight. Now if you can see in this place, the highlights are all blown up, and in here the shadows are all dark, and in these places the highlights are all blown up. So what you want to do, first of all, let me go through from this section, this 6th section, whereas the exposure is too much over here. So let me just correct the exposure a bit. It lacks the contrast, so just bring it back. Dial down the highlights a bit. Now if you see, if I turn the highlights up, then you will see all of the sky is blown out, and if you take it down, then you can see all the highlights are back. The highlights are a region where the lights are more rather than the dark parts. Exposure, if you increase the exposure, that will brighten up the entire picture. But if you play with highlights, if you increase the highlights, it will only brighten the parts where the brights are more bright, and it will not affect the darker parts. So what you need to do, if you have blown out your highlights like in this picture, you need to bring down the highlights a bit. Now coming to the shadow, if you see all these places, dark places, these are the shadows. So if you can see, the shadows are pretty dark over here. Some of them are black already, complete black. So what you need to do is bring up the shadow a bit. As you can see, if I turn down the shadow, all the dark parts where the shadows are of the tree are going dark, and if I turn them back on, I'm recovering some of the shadows from there. Now whites and blacks are white, as you can see from the name, white are the whiter parts of a photo like this, and blacks are the darker part of a photo like this. So if you just you press Shift Alt and you clip it just right here, just when the whites are starting to show up, you want to keep it here. Same as black, press Alt, left click, then go back. Just when the darks are showing on the screen, you want to leave it there, just here. So now you can see that the picture was looking like this, and now it is this and this. So just only tweaking the basic panel, you can see that I have already recovered a lot of detail from the photo. Now let's just take the highlight a bit down. I'm just doing a -100 completely, and I'm bringing up the shadows. And I don't want that much of white, so I'm just taking the white back, as well as I'm giving it a contrast. In the contrast panel, I'm just increasing the contrast a bit. That will make the photo saturated as well. And if you can see, there is a bit of a haze over here, so if you increase the dehaze, that will go out. Now this is what the picture used to look like. Now it is this. Now what is temperature? Temperature, if you increase the temperature, go to the orange side, then it will warm the picture. If you decrease it, it will cool down the picture. So let's just, and if you want to automatically select, then you click this selector and you press at the whitest part of your photo. That will automatically give a proper white balance. And if you're happy with that, you can keep that, or else you can tweak it manually as well. Like I want to keep it here, and I want to increase vibrance a little bit. Now what is the difference between vibrance and saturation? Saturation, if you increase, it will increase the color profile of the entire picture. But if you increase the vibrance, it will only increase those colors which are already dialed down. Like if I make it 0, then you can see that there are certain pictures like these dark greens. If I increase the vibrance, these dark greens will increase. Okay, so just by basic adjustment, I can make this into this. Same for the next picture as well. Let's just take an example of this one. As you can see, again the highlights are entirely blown up, and there is no horizon line, to be honest, to make it straight. So first up, what I want to do is bring back those detail on the sky. So putting down the highlights to -100. Increase shadows a little bit, bring down the whites because the sky is too bright, and just increasing the black so that I can get that contrast. Increasing the contrast a bit, decreasing the exposure because it's overexposed, increasing the vibrance, increasing shadows a bit because as you can see, these parts are completely dark almost. You cannot see anything from those shadowy parts, so increase the shadow a bit. Let's just take like 60-65 and give it a warmer tone. That's all. And just bring the exposure a bit down here. Now just by the basic adjustment, what I have done, the picture was looking like this and now it's this. It was looking like this, now it's this.